There's a kind of man the world doesn't talk about anymore. A man who doesn't need noise or crowds or attention to feel alive. A man who doesn't chase validation. A man who walks alone, not because he's weak, not because he's broken, but because he's building something inside himself the world cannot see. People look at a man walking alone and think he's missing something. But what they don't understand is this: solitude is not emptiness. Solitude is power. It's the gym for your mind. It's the battlefield where you face your fears, your doubts, your demons, and you defeat them one by one. You see, a man who walks alone learns who he really is. And most people never learn that. They hide behind relationships, behind friends, behind distractions, anything to avoid hearing their own thoughts. But when you have nobody to impress, nobody to entertain, nobody to pretend for, you meet the real you. And that man is powerful, because in solitude, a man discovers his standards. He finds his boundaries. He learns discipline. He learns control. He learns peace. He learns that not every person deserves access to him, and not every woman is worthy of his energy. He learns to protect his space like it's sacred, because it is. Walking alone teaches you patience. It teaches you silence. It teaches you clarity. When you're not busy chasing people, you start chasing purpose. When you stop begging for attention, you start building your life. And when you stop needing someone beside you just to feel complete, you become dangerous in the best possible way. Dangerous because you can't be manipulated. Dangerous because you can't be rushed. Dangerous because you're no longer hungry for approval. Dangerous because your strength comes from within, not from anybody else. A man who walks alone learns to stand tall. And that kind of man, you cannot break him. You can shake him. You can test him. You can push him, but you cannot break him. Because solitude gave him something most people never have: a foundation built on truth. And here's the truth about solitude: it's not easy. There will be nights when your mind whispers doubts, days when you question your worth, moments when loneliness tries to creep in. But that's exactly where the transformation happens. Because every time you push through those moments, every time you rise above those feelings, every time you choose progress over comfort, you level up. You evolve. You mature. You become the kind of man who doesn't beg to be chosen. You choose yourself. And that, my brother, that is the beginning of becoming unstoppable. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes something important. Not everyone is meant to walk with you. Some people were only meant for a chapter, not the whole story. Some people were meant to teach you, not stay with you. And some were sent to show you exactly what you will never allow again. When you start walking alone, you begin to see people clearly. You see who drains you, who respects you, who actually cares, and who only wants what you can give them. Solitude sharpens your vision. You stop mistaking attachment for love. You stop confusing attention with loyalty. You stop letting emotions blind you to the truth right in front of you. A man who walks alone becomes intentional. He chooses peace over chaos, purpose over pleasure, growth over comfort. And the more you grow, the more you realize not everyone can handle the man you're becoming. People will call you distant. People will call you cold. People will say you changed. But that's what happens when you stop living for approval and start living for alignment. You see, solitude doesn't make you hard. It makes you honest. It makes you aware. It makes you dangerous, not because you want to hurt anybody, but because no one can control you anymore. When you spend enough time alone, you start building your standards from scratch. You learn exactly what kind of man you want to be. You learn the values you refuse to compromise. You learn the kind of life you're willing to work for every single day. Most men don't know themselves because they never spend enough time with themselves. But a man who walks alone develops something rare. A mind that is calm, a heart that is grounded, a vision that is clear, and that clarity becomes your weapon. It helps you cut off the wrong people. It helps you guard your energy. It helps you protect your purpose. Because when you have a purpose, when you have a mission, when you have a dream that keeps you up at night, you start realizing that solitude is not a punishment, it's preparation. Preparation for the man you're becoming. Preparation for the responsibilities you will carry. Preparation for the blessings you're about to earn. Every man who rose to greatness walked alone for a season. Not because nobody wanted him, but because he needed space to grow into the man the world would one day admire. And that's you right now, in your quiet season, in your building season, in your transformation season. It may feel slow. It may feel lonely. It may feel heavy some days. But don't let that fool you. This is the season that shapes you. This is the season that tests you. This is the season that prepares you to handle everything you've prayed for. And when that breakthrough finally comes, when that opportunity shows up, when that moment arrives that changes your entire life, you will look back at these quiet days and you will say to yourself, it was worth it. You evolve. You mature. You become the kind of man who doesn't beg to be chosen. You choose yourself. And that, my brother, that is the beginning of becoming unstoppable. There's something you start to realize when you walk alone. Silence doesn't scare you anymore. It strengthens you. Most people run from silence because silence forces you to face yourself, your habits, your fears, your insecurities, your potential. But a man who can face himself is a man who can conquer anything. Because once you understand your mind, you stop letting your emotions drive your life. You stop reacting to everything. You stop chasing validation. And you start moving with intention. That's what solitude gives you: control. Control over your thoughts. Control over your actions. Control over what you allow into your life. And the more disciplined you become, the quieter life gets. Not because nothing is happening, but because you've removed the noise. No more fake support. No more draining relationships. No more distractions pretending to be opportunities. You start building a life that actually makes sense for you. A life aligned with your purpose. A life that feeds your soul. And that's when people notice the difference. They can see the focus in your eyes. They can hear the confidence in your voice. They can feel the strength in your presence. Because a man who has mastered solitude walks differently, thinks differently, speaks differently, lives differently. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't chase after temporary affection. He doesn't lower his standards to keep someone beside him. He knows what he brings to the table. He knows the value of his peace. He knows what his future demands of him. And if that means walking alone for a while, he accepts it. Because here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You can't build a strong life with weak company. You can't reach a high place with people who think small. You can't remain focused around people who are addicted to distractions. You can't grow beside people who fear change. Your environment either builds you or breaks you. And when you walk alone, you get to rebuild that environment from the ground up. You learn to trust your own voice. You learn to rely on your own strength. You learn that you don't need constant company to feel complete. And from that place, your confidence begins to rise. Not the loud, insecure kind, but the quiet kind, the grounded kind, the kind that comes from knowing you can stand on your own 2 feet no matter what life throws at you. Because once you've survived loneliness, once you've healed in silence, Once you've rebuilt yourself behind closed doors, you become unshakable. People can leave. Plans can fail. Life can break in unexpected ways. But you will not fall apart. Why? Because you already learned how to stand alone. And that is power